Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We're really thrilled to have you with us for another exploration into the world of investing. Today, we're tackling a question that honestly a lot of you have been asking: is Nvidia a good time to buy right now? We've gathered some fantastic source material, Nasdaq, A Invest, various investment analyses to really try and understand what's going on with Nvidia and its potential challengers too. Our mission, as always, is to give you a clear, concise, insightful look at the facts, help you get informed quickly without feeling, overwhelmed. And hey, if you find value in what we talk about, please consider hitting that subscribe button, give us a like, maybe leave a comment. We genuinely love hearing from you. And if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into next time, just let us know in the comments below. Okay, let's get into it. Let's see what the market is telling us about Nvidia. So when we talk about AI infrastructure at the foundations, one name just immediately comes up: Nvidia. They've really been the undisputed leader in this space. It's been incredibly dynamic. But beyond the headlines, what do the latest numbers actually tell us about their performance, their position right now?
Yet, what's truly compelling here is just how robust NVIDIA's financial health still is. It really reflects immense demand. For Q2 fiscal 2026, they reported, get this, $46.7 billion in revenue.
Wow. Billy.
Exactly. And that's not just a healthy number. It's a 6% increase quarter over quarter
Yeah.
and a massive 56% jump year over year.
56%. That's huge.
It is. And their data center segment, which is really the engine of their AI leadership, that grew an impressive 17% sequentially. Within that segment, compute revenue was up 62%, networking up 79%, just for the first half of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And to put a fine point on their efficiency, their GAAP gross margin stood at an exceptional 72.4%.
72% gross margin.
Okay, which is just a really strong indicator of their pricing power and how efficiently they're operating.
So looking at these, staggering numbers, especially the revenue and that gross margin,
Yeah.
what's the main message for someone looking at Nvidia's balance sheet right now? What does it tell us about their market position?
Well, these numbers, they unequivocally point to incredible demand and strong pricing power, no question. But the natural follow-up question is, okay, how sustainable is this?
Right.
This kind of performance long term. Management themselves, they describe the AI infrastructure build-out as a, quote, multi-year growth driver. And their new Blackwell platform, it's already at full production. Demand is described as extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Okay.
So that indicates a deep ongoing need for their tech across, hyperscale data centers, cloud providers, plus their CUD software platform that's NVIDIA's optimized parallel computing platform and developer toolkit that creates a huge competitive moat.
Right. The software side is key.
It really is. It's the critical link letting engineers and AI researchers tap into the GPU power. It establishes this deeply ingrained, kind of sticky ecosystem. It makes switching to other hardware really difficult and costly for customers because there's just this vast developer base and all these optimized software libraries.
Okay, that makes sense. But, no leader stays unchallenged forever. And this next bit, this is where it gets really interesting. Our sources suggest there might be a surprise contender emerging, someone challenging Nvidia's dominance. Alphabet. How are they positioning themselves in this vital space? What's their strategy look like?
Yeah, that's a really crucial shift to watch. Alphabet, well, they've actually been developing their own chips in-house for about a decade now. They're called tensor processing units, or TPUs.
TPUs, right.
Initially, these were mostly for their own internal AI stuff, like powering their Gemini large language model. What's new, and what makes them a contender now, is that they're aggressively renting these chips out to outside developers, basically turning an internal asset into a potentially significant market play.
And what about the fact that OpenAI, one of NVIDIA's largest customers and a Google rival, has been testing Alphabet's TPUs? Even if they're not deploying them at scale yet, that's pretty significant, isn't it? What is that signal?
Oh, it's a hugely significant signal. Absolutely. It demonstrates the actual capabilities and, importantly, the potential cost advantages TPUs might offer. What makes TPUs compelling is they're specifically designed for Google's infrastructure. That offers built-in advantages in things like latency, scalability, and cost for certain AI jobs. They even introduced a new TPU called Ironwood back in April, specifically optimized for inference tasks.
Inference, right? Running the models, not just training them.
Exactly. So this isn't just some side project for them. It looks like a pretty strategic move to capture market share.
So it sounds like Alphabet isn't just making chips then. They're aiming for a truly vertically integrated approach. Hardware, cloud, software all together. How does that compare with Nvidia's model? What advantages could that offer Alphabet?
That's a great observation. Precisely. Alphabet's vertical integration for the custom chips right up to their cloud platform and software,
Yeah.
that's a significant differentiator. Because while Nvidia dominates GPUs and has its, very strong CEDA software ecosystem, they don't offer a full cloud computing platform themselves.
Ah.
Okay. And that's a substantial advantage Alphabet can leverage, especially as the market matures and customers maybe look more towards integrated solutions. It's interesting, NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, he's been quite dismissive of TPUs in the past.
Really?
Yeah, emphasizing the broad versatility of GPUs and the strength of CUA over these more specialized chips. He sees the GPU-CPU combo as superior because it applies to more AI tasks, not just specific ones.
Okay, so different philosophies there. Let's zoom out a bit then to the overall market dynamics. Spending on AI infrastructure is projected to hit, what, over $1 trillion by 2028?
That's the projection, yeah, a massive
Yes.
number.
And a lot of experts predict that AI inference actually running the models will become a much bigger market than model training, which is building them. How does that whole backdrop play into this NVIDIA Alphabet dynamic we're discussing?
That is a critical point for the future of AI hardware. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This shift immediately brings up a key question. Will companies start prioritizing cost-effectiveness for inference, maybe over raw training power? See, AI inference is generally less technically challenging than training. So this could potentially negate some of NVIDIA's CD advantage if the main goal becomes scale and cost efficiency, rather than just pure computational grunt for training complex models.
I see.
It basically opens the door for chips that can offer cheaper cost per inference. And Alphabet's TPUs, with their optimized design for Google's infrastructure, they could become a much more attractive, cost-efficient option for these growing inference workloads, especially as companies look to deploy AI more widely across their operations without, breaking the bank.
And we're seeing Alphabet really pursue this aggressively. That seems like a clear signal of their intent. They're partnering with smaller cloud providers like a London-based Fluidstack, even offering financial backing, potentially up to $3.2 billion if Fluidstack struggles with leasing costs for their New York data center.
Right.
That shows real commitment to expanding their TPU customer base and directly challenging NVIDIA's traditional hardware sales model, it seems.
It absolutely does. This direct competition, especially in leasing hardware and even providing financial incentives, it really echoes NVIDIA's own successful leasing model. It's a very smart play by Alphabet. And look at Google Cloud. It's been growing revenue fast, up 28% year over year last quarter to $12.3 billion.
Wow.
And segment operating income soared 142% to $2.2 billion. So increased TPU adoption directly feeds into Google Cloud usage. It boosts its profits not just by getting new customers, but by significantly lowering internal costs for Google's own services too. They've even developed things like all-optical switches to cut power use and costs for TPUs, just further enhancing their operational leverage, making their whole offering more compelling.
Okay, so a really concerted push from Alphabet there. So for you, our listener who might be wondering about NVIDIA as an investment right now, what does all this mean for the coming months? What should they be looking out for, maybe on the calendar?
Okay, yeah, from a calendar perspective, there are several potential catalysts, things to watch for NVIDIA. The dividend record date is September 11th, with the payment on October 2nd. Minor, but noted. October 25th could see potential ETF and Q3 index rebalancing. That can sometimes generate significant trading volume as funds adjust their holdings.
Right, the rebalancing effect.
Exactly. Then the estimated Q3 fiscal 2026 earnings release is around November 20th. That's always a big one, very closely watched. Beyond those dates, analysts are also keeping an ear out for any rumors of, say, next-gen AI hardware announcements, or maybe strategic Asia partnerships, or even something like a record-breaking bulk GPU pre-purchased by a major cloud provider. Any of those events could certainly cause significant movement in the stock price.
That's definitely a lot of potential movement to consider. Okay, what about the overall investment picture then, from a fundamental standpoint? How should we interpret NVIDIA's current valuation? It seems high.
It does. Look, NVIDIA's fundamental analysis shows outstanding revenue growth, clear industry dominance, and a defensible tech moat, mostly through CGA. Their financial health is, frankly, excellent. However, the valuation is rich. The forward price-to-earnings ratio, the PE, and the price-to-sales ratio, they remain significantly elevated compared to the broader market. Okay. This implies that a lot of future growth and continued market dominance is already baked into the stock price. Investors are paying a premium today for tomorrow's expected performance. And things like insider selling, like CEO Jensen Huang's planned sales of 225,000 shares in late August to early September at prices from around $168 to $178 that can sometimes cap near-term upside. Though it's important to note, he still holds a very significant amount of shares, so it's not necessarily a red flag about confidence.
Right. Context matters there. And looking at the technicals, what's the chart telling us about current trading, potential price movements?
Technically speaking, the stock recently closed around $170.62. It's been trading roughly between, let's say, $168 and $178 recently. Key support levels, where buying interest tends to kick in, seem to be around $162 to $168. Resistance, where selling pressure might emerge, looks like it's around $177.9 to $180.
Okay.
The price is still well above its 50-day and 200-day moving averages. That's a strong indicator of a sustained bullish trend. Momentum is strong too. The RSI, the Relative Strength Index, it's oscillating near 60-65, which means, well, while strong, an RSI above 70 usually suggests a stock is getting overbought. So it's moderately in that territory. Not extreme, but something to watch. And volatility, it remains elevated. That's pretty typical for high-growth tech stocks like this, so expect swings.
Okay, so summing that up, a bullish trend, but definitely with a high valuation and volatility. So what are the key risks then? What should an investor really be considering going forward? What could potentially disrupt this really impressive run?
Yeah, this brings up a critical point. What could actually derail this? Well, supply constraints, for instance, in advanced chip foundries like TSMC. That could limit their ability to meet all that demand. There's also a high dependence on a relatively small group of hyperscale data center buyers, the big cloud guys. If one or two of those major customers were to slow their spending, even temporarily, it could have a noticeable impact. And, of course, geopolitical developments. Things like U.S.-China tech tensions, export restrictions. Those are significant ongoing risks. They could impact market access or the supply chain.
Right, like tighter export controls could cut into their China market.
Exactly, which is a massive economy. Now, analysts generally, they maintain buy or overweight ratings. The 12-month target estimates seem to range mostly from $190 to $210 per share. So overall, Nvidia presents this compelling paradox, right? Undeniable market leadership, exceptional growth, yet its premium valuation and this burgeoning vertically integrated challenge from Alphabet, it introduces a layer of strategic complexity. For long-term investors, this probably isn't a simple buy and forget situation. It's more an opportunity demanding a really keen eye on these evolving market dynamics and the competitive shifts.
Okay, so to circle back to our initial question, is NVIDIA a good time to buy now? Our exploration shows, yeah, company with undeniable dominance, incredible growth, strong future catalyst, but it's definitely not without its highly valued price tag and this emerging, quite formidable competition from players like Alphabet.
Yeah, if we step back for a moment, NVIDIA's momentum is clearly underpinned by soaring data center demand and its product leadership, anchored by the strength of the GPU and CUDA ecosystem. No doubt. However, Alphabet's aggressive push with TPUs, especially targeting that growing inference market, it introduces a really interesting dynamic. Now, is it likely to fully displace NVIDIA in the short term? Probably not. But even small share gains in this rapidly expanding market, well, that could be a significant boost for Alphabet, and it would represent a noteworthy shift in the AI hardware landscape over time. So the long-term trajectory for NVIDIA, it still looks strong, but critical thinking around its current valuation in this evolving competitive field is absolutely essential for any investor right now.
A truly fascinating picture to consider. So for you, our listener, the question really becomes, how do these shifting tides, the established leader, the ambitious challenger, how do they influence your own investment philosophy, your long-term outlook for this whole AI hardware space? And that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment with your thoughts, or let us know any companies you'd like us to analyze next time. We really appreciate you joining us on Investing Talk podcast, and we look forward to our next conversation.